How close is your relationship with God? This question may have crossed your mind at some point, igniting a curiosity that's as profound as it is challenging. For many of us, there are moments when we feel a distance, a sense of disconnection from our Creator that leaves us yearning for more. Yearning for a closeness that seems just out of reach. This feeling is not uncommon, and it's not a sign of weakness or lack of faith. Rather, it's an indication of our human desire to seek connection, to understand our place in the vast cosmic tapestry. It's a testament to our enduring spirit and our longing to draw closer to the divine. However, to bridge this perceived gap, it's essential to recognize that our relationship with God isn't a passive one. It's not a one-way street where we wait for God to make the first move. Instead, it's a dynamic, interactive relationship that requires our intentional action and commitment. It's about making the conscious decision to invite God into our lives, to open our hearts and minds to His divine presence. Just as we nurture our relationships with our loved ones, so too must we nurture our relationship with God. It's about making time for prayer, for reflection, for gratitude. It's about seeking His guidance in our decisions, big and small. It's about acknowledging His presence in our everyday lives, in the beauty of nature, in acts of kindness, in moments of joy and pain. This journey towards a deeper connection with God is not a sprint, but a marathon. It's a lifelong commitment that will have its ups and downs, its moments of clarity and confusion. But with each step, with each act of faith, we draw closer to God, we deepen our understanding of His love and grace. So as we reflect on our relationship with the Jesus Christ, let's shift our perspective. Perhaps the question we should be asking isn't whether God is distant, but rather, how can we draw closer to Him? Let's embark on this journey together, seeking to understand, to connect, and to rekindle our relationship with Jesus. James 4:8 tells us, "Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you." But what does this truly mean? It's a profound question with a beautiful answer. Let's look into it. This scripture is a clear invitation for us to foster a deep, personal relationship with God. But it's not a one-sided affair. It's a mutual process, a divine dance of sorts. It's like reaching out your hand to a loved one. They're always there, ready to hold your hand, but it requires you to extend your arm first. Drawing near to God involves taking the initial step towards Him. It's about opening our hearts and making a conscious decision to seek His presence. This step can be a prayer, whispered in the quiet of the night, a song of praise sung from the heart, or a moment of silence in the midst of a hectic day where we simply say, "God, I need you." But this isn't just about what we do, it's about who we become. As we draw near to God, we're transformed. We start to reflect His love and kindness in our actions. We start to see the world through His eyes. We become vessels of His grace and conduits of His peace. God is always ready to draw near to us. He's like a father waiting at the end of a long road for his child to return home. He's there with open arms, full of love and forgiveness. But He respects our free will, our right to choose. And so, He waits for us to take the step towards Him. And when we do, we find Him there, ready to engulf us in His love, ready to guide us, ready to transform us. We find that our journey towards Him has led us to a place of peace, of joy, and of profound love. So, to draw closer to God, we must actively pursue His presence in our lives. Let's now consider some practical steps we can take to draw closer to God. First and foremost, regular prayer is a crucial step. In the constant day-to-day of our daily lives, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. This is where prayer comes in. It's not just about asking for things, but about building a relationship, a dialogue with God. It's a time to express our deepest fears, our highest hopes, our gratitude, and our love. It's also a time to listen, to be still, and to allow God's voice to resonate within us. Next, studying Scripture is another way to deepen our connection. The Bible is not just a book, but a rich tapestry woven with wisdom, lessons, and divine truths. It's a guidebook that helps us navigate the complexities of life while anchoring us in our faith. As we dive into its pages, we find ourselves understanding God's heart better, seeing His hand in our lives, and growing in our love for Him. Now let's talk about cultivating gratitude. It's so easy to focus on what we lack, on our struggles and our challenges, or what we don't have. But cultivating gratitude helps us shift our perspective. It reminds us of God's faithfulness, His blessings, and His love. It opens our eyes to see the beauty in the everyday, the miracles in the mundane, and the grace in the grind. It's not about denying our pain, but about acknowledging God's presence in the midst of it. Then there's practicing kindness. Kindness is a language that transcends barriers, a currency that enriches both the giver and the receiver. As we choose to be kind, to extend grace, to be patient, and to love, we reflect God's character. We become His hands and feet, His voice and heart in a world that desperately needs it. Kindness draws us closer to God because it aligns us with His nature. Lastly, remember that these steps are not a to-do list to tick off, but a journey to embark on. It's not about perfection, but about progress. It's about making small, consistent choices every day that draw us closer to God. And as we do, we find that these practices not only bring us closer to Him, but also help us become better versions of ourselves. They shape us, refine us, and transform us. So, in the quiet moments of prayer, in the illuminating pages of Scripture, in the heart of gratitude, and in the act of kindness, we find God, we find His heart, His love, and His presence. As we engage in these practices, we find ourselves drawing nearer to the heart of God. But what role does faith play in drawing closer to God? Let's take a moment to ponder on this. Faith, in its simplest form, is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. In the context of our relationship with God, faith becomes the backbone, the driving force that propels us towards a deeper connection. Without faith, our journey towards God becomes like a ship sailing without a compass. Now consider the scripture from Hebrews 11:6, "And without faith it is impossible to please Him, for whoever would draw near to God must believe that He exists, and that He rewards those who seek Him." This verse beautifully encapsulates the essence of faith in our spiritual journey. The scripture is clear and straightforward. Faith is not just a suggestion, it's a requirement. It's a prerequisite for pleasing God and drawing closer to Him. Let's go a bit deeper. Faith isn't merely about accepting God's existence, it also encompasses the belief that God rewards those who earnestly seek Him. This belief fuels our determination and perseverance, even when the path seems tough and the journey arduous. It is this unyielding faith that keeps us going, that keeps us seeking, and that keeps us drawing closer to God. Faith also invites God's grace into our lives. When we believe, when we trust, when we have faith, we open ourselves up to the divine grace of God. We allow His love to flow into us, to guide us, to comfort us, and to strengthen us. It's through faith that we experience the fullness of God's love and mercy. Moreover, faith transforms our perspective. It allows us to see beyond the physical and into the spiritual. It gives us the ability to perceive God's hand in our lives, to recognize His guidance, and to appreciate His blessings. Faith, therefore, becomes the lens through which we view our relationship with God. Hence, faith is the cornerstone of our journey towards a deeper relationship with God. It is through faith that we step into the divine presence, and it is through faith that we stay there, basking in the warmth of His love and grace. To sum up, drawing closer to God is a journey, not a destination. It's a mutual process, a dance, if you will, where we take one step forward and He meets us halfway. This divine connection we seek is not a one-time event, but a continuous, evolving relationship that deepens over time. The path to intimacy with God involves practical steps. It begins with open-hearted prayer, reading and contemplating the scriptures, and practicing acts of kindness. It's about creating a space in our lives for Him, where His voice can be heard, His love can be felt, and His wisdom can guide us. Faith, the cornerstone of our journey, is not merely believing, but trusting in God. It's about surrendering control and allowing Him to lead us on this remarkable journey. As we walk this path, let us remember that every step we take towards God is a step into a richer, more fulfilling life.